Hello there you guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just going to be officially updating you on some more current latest news. So if you do consider drop your likes, and if you do consider subscribe to the channel as always. So today basically on this video I'm going to give you for my own preference who I think should come in and who I think should leave Manchester United in the summer, because obviously we do know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to bring at least 5 new additions to Manchester United this summer. Obviously we are expected to orchestrate a big summer clear, and I think up to at least 5 players could depart Manchester United this summer. But it's very essential that Manchester United get the right players this summer, and obviously we have got to basically rebuild, because obviously teams like Arsenal are obviously going to strengthen up this summer. Obviously Arsenal got 5 players last summer, but obviously back in January they were only restricted to loan signings, so potentially Arsenal couldn't make many permanent deals in January. Liverpool of course will be strengthening up this summer, I should presume. Obviously Liverpool had a good window last summer. They got about 5 players, and I think Liverpool last summer had actually spent the most money. I think they spent around 171 million, and I do presume that Manchester City are going to spend money this summer as well, because I do know Manchester City have invested a lot of money, especially since Pep Guardiola has been there. Obviously I think Pep Guardiola spent about £1 billion in all his career, but obviously the majority of his money he has spent of course has been on that Manchester City team. So potentially we've got to rebuild this summer if we want to graduate to Manchester City's level, Liverpool's level, because I think we're at least a couple of years off graduating to Manchester City's level. But reportedly we're going to get around a £250 million spending spree this summer. That's potentially what Manchester United are getting, around a £250 million spending spree, and I think if we had to get 5 new additions in, that will probably cost us around over £200 million. But as I did currently say, it's going to be hard for us to get the players we want in the summer, because obviously it's going to be hard for us to attract players to the highest level, because obviously we're not in a Champions League football for next season. But from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's preference, he still believes that we can lure players to the highest level, even though we're not in a Champions League football for next season. And he did basically say we'll have his final say on our summer transfers, what players come in, and of course what players leave. Of course as well, it has seemed to have all gone wrong since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got the job permanently at Manchester United. But as I did say on my previous video today, I think the Manchester United fans that are demanding Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out, for my own opinion, they are a total disgrace, because there'll be a few Manchester United fans coming pessimistic now about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, reflecting on our poor run of form, poor run of results. But we have been very poor since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got the job permanently. But reflecting back when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the interim manager, everything was going really well. The results were good, the performances were good. He was getting the best out of these group of players, and he exceeded expectations. And obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got a 3-year deal. Obviously he's got to exceed expectations in this 3-year period. But as I did currently say, we're at least 3 or 4 years off from being a competitive elite level football club, and I think that's a number of years it's going to take us to graduate to the level as we was under Alex Ferguson. But we do potentially since Alex Ferguson retired, we do know we've been playing catch up for the last 5 6 years. We do know Manchester United have spent a hell of a lot of money since Ferguson's retired. I think about £700 million of course has been invested. I think it may be over £700 million, but we've had different managers with different type of philosophies, but it just seems to have all gone downhill since Alex Ferguson retired. But potentially for me, we've got to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer time. We've got to give him the summer to rebuild, see who we can recommend to come in. But you can potentially see the deficiencies in the squad, and obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is looking to buy into our history. But obviously we can't keep sacking managers, of course, because we haven't got the structure to do that. Don't get me wrong, we do need a structural change at the club, and that's obviously by recommending a director of football to come in, to change the structure of the club, as I said. And obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to need backing this summer. But there has been quite a few names mentioned, for that director as well. I think it would be, we need to get someone who's got the experience, of being a director. And I think Paul Mitchell, for my own preference, would be the right candidate. Of course, he's born and bred in Manchester. There was a lot of talks about him, going on the other week. He did also say a couple of other teams were interested in hiring Paul Mitchell in. He's currently had a recruitment at RP Leipzig at the moment. He's Paul Mitchell. I think he's been there a couple of years. I think he's got his current deal ends in 2020, but I think RP Leipzig have been in talks of I think RB Leipzig have been in talks of getting him a new contract with them until 2025. But he used to be head of recruitment at Southampton. He used to be head of recruitment at Tottenham, of course, where he worked alongside Mauricio Pochettino. But for me, I think he'd be the right candidate. Obviously, there's been other names thrown into the mix as well. We do know there was talks the other day about Rio Ferdinand. Rio Ferdinand hasn't really got the experience, but obviously, he knows about Manchester United, of course, because he was a great player. I think he won about 14 trophies as a player for Manchester United. He made about 455 appearances, did Rio Ferdinand. I think he served there 12 years as a player for Manchester United, so he's been mentioned. We do know that obviously Mike Phelan has been mentioned as well. We do know Edwin van der Sar has been mentioned, of course. Edwin van der Sar is the former Manchester United goalkeeper, and obviously he's the CEO at Ajax, and I think he insists he's at Ajax, for the time being. So there has been quite a few names mentioned, who could take that director as well. But as I was saying, I still believe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, can take Manchester United forward. I do really believe he can elevate this club forward. But it's just going to take some time, as I said. But we've got to give him the summer, to see who he can bring in to the club, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. But as I did say, he hasn't really got a great managerial pedigree, especially, obviously, not to the highest level, and he hasn't really got the experience as a manager. He did win a couple of Norwegian titles, with Mo, but he hasn't really got the experience of playing at the highest level of a manager, of course. But he was a great player, for Manchester United, and he's got the experience of a player. But I'm still backing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course. We've got to see who we can get in this summer, as I said. And obviously, as I said, none of this squad's Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. He's inheriting 11 of Jose Mourinho's players. As I said, there's still some players, even Van Gaal. There's still Matari from the David Moyes era. There's still 4 or 5 players here from the Alex Ferguson era. So none of this squad is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's. He did, when he managed the Manchester United reserve team, he watched some of this team, this day and age, grow and develop. But none of this squad is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So in that aspect, he's still in the process of rebuilding. So potentially, for my own preference, what players I would like to come into Manchester United? Well, we'll start. Well, my number one is definitely Borussia Dortmund's Jadon Sancho, because Manchester United have been heavily linked with a move of Jadon Sancho, for quite a long time now. But as I did say, maybe a player of Jadon Sancho's calibre, wants to be in Champions League football, and this is what potentially could go against us. But I really like Jadon Sancho. I do know if he's for sale, he's going to cost Manchester United around at least £100 million. But he's only young as Jadon Sancho. He's only 19 years of age, and I'd like a player of Jadon Sancho's quality, to come to Manchester United. And I think if he was to make a return to the Premier League, Jadon Sancho, I think it would create a better platform for him. But he's been fantastic in his couple of years with Borussia Dortmund, and I think he'd replicate the same level of performances, if he came to the Premier League, of what he's doing now with Borussia Dortmund. But he's been fantastic in his couple of years with Borussia Dortmund. Obviously, he's a former Manchester City player, is Jadon Sancho. He obviously never really got the opportunity in Manchester City, and this is why he basically left City and went to Borussia Dortmund. I think Borussia Dortmund only paid around £7-8 million for him, so financially, Borussia Dortmund would make a huge profit on Jadon Sancho. But I really like him. I think, he looked very good on our right-hand side. He can play between the byline, he can put crosses into the box, he can score goals, he can provide. So I think Jadon Sancho, would be fantastic. And I do think Jadon Sancho is the club's number one priority target. But I still think he's got a contract with Borussia Dortmund until 2022. But he'd be one of the players I would like to come in. But as I did currently say, he's going to cost Manchester United at least around 100 million. We have got the financial power, to meet his valuation. But, us being not in Champions League football, he may not be interested in coming Jadon Sancho. He may not be interested in coming at Jadon Sancho, and that is the thing. So I think we have got the financial power to meet his valuation, because as I did say, if we can sanction the likes of Pogba off, if we can sanction Lukaku off, we could cash in around £200 million plus there, and in that aspect, it will help us with our rebuilding process, and it will help us, with our transition and all that. So it would be quite beneficial. But yeah, Jadon Sancho, would definitely be my number one. My number two is Sporting Lisbon's Bruno Fernandes, and he's a midfielder, and we do need a couple of additions in that midfield. There's been a lot of talk, going on about Bruno Fernandes, but now recent reports are saying that actually Manchester City are in talks with Sporting Lisbon. Are in talks with Sporting Lisbon over a 42 or 43 million deal for Bruno Fernandes. Some reports are now saying that Manchester City are in pole position to get Bruno Fernandes, but I think reports were stemming out of the Portuguese press during the weekend, saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has demanded, you know, Manchester United to sign Bruno Fernandes for around £85 million. So basically, Solskjaer wants to get a deal over the line for Bruno Fernandes, and he wants Manchester United to get Bruno Fernandes over Manchester City. But Bruno Fernandes is a really, really good player, you know, and we need creativeness in that midfield, you know, someone that can pose a goal threat, and, you know, we need that depth in midfield. And Bruno Fernandes has been fantastic this season, you know, a lot of goals, a lot of assists. I think this season, Bruno Fernandes, if I've read his statistics, I think he scored 31 goals this season, provided 17 assists in 50 appearances this season for Sporting Lisbon. So that just emphasises, you know, how good Bruno Fernandes is, and I think he'd blend in very, very well in our midfield if he was to come. I think he has got a release clause of around, is it 80 odd million or is it 90 million pounds or something like that? But I think Manchester United have been linked to him a couple of months. He has got a contract with Sporting Lisbon until 2023, and I think this is now his second season with Sporting Lisbon. But obviously he's a former Sampdoria, he's a former Udinese player, so he had a lot of experience of playing in Italy, you know, when he was young, Bruno Fernandes. But it's still saying that City are holding talks with City are still holding talks, you know, with Sporting Lisbon over getting a 40-odd million deal over the line. I think it did say, if I'm right, well, there's some players involved as part of the deal as well. But I want Manchester United, you know, to bring Bruno Fernandes in. But Manchester United have been in negotiations with his representatives over the summer transfer. And of course, he's 24 years of age, is Bruno Fernandes, so he has still got a lot of years ahead of him. And it's good that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, of course, is showing an interest in quite a few young upcoming players, because we have got quite a lot of aging up players in our squad, and we're looking to get some youngsters into the team. But we have got, you know, a few youngsters. You know, we've got Mason Greenwood, of course, who's an upcoming future for Manchester United. You know, we've got Chong, who's an upcoming future for Manchester United. You know, Gomez, upcoming future for Manchester United. But yeah, I really, really would like Bruno Fernandes to come in. He's predominantly an attacking midfielder. Bruno Fernandes, so we'd actually, you know, see him as a good replacement for Paul Pogba. So he'd be my number two. I'd definitely, you know, get Bruno Fernandes in. Of what I've seen of Joe Felix as well, he'd be one of my signings I'd bring in as well. I really, really like Joe Felix. I think his performances this season for Benfica have been very, very impressive indeed. He's 19 years of age. He's only 19, he's Joe Felix, so he's got a lot of years ahead of him. But he only broke into the Benfica first team last year, did Joe Felix. He only broke into the first team for Benfica last year. And I think he hasn't yet made his senior debut for Portugal, but I think Joe Felix is predominantly an attacking midfielder, is Joe Felix, but I think you can play him as a winner. You can also play him as a striker, so he is versatile. I think a couple of teams have been interested in Joe Felix. I think City are also in for Joe Felix. It also, I think Liverpool have been recently linked with Joe Felix. I mean, Liverpool had a bid turned down for Joe Felix, you know, back in January. But yeah, he's a very, very good player. But it did actually say in the media, Manchester United, you know, do want the Portuguese duo, you know, Bruno Fernandes and you know, Joe Felix, and it did say it would cost reportedly Manchester United around £150 million. I think Joe Felix has got a buyout clause of around 120 million euros, and I think it's £100 million pound sterling buyout clause. But yeah, Manchester United have been linked to him, so he would be definitely one of my signings. To be quite honest with you, I like West Ham's Declan Rice as well. He's very, very good indeed. He'd be another one of my signings, would Declan Rice. Declan Rice is a good player. You know, he's been at West Ham, you know, a number of years now. He's been in the senior squad, you know, a couple of years. He's made about, 50, 60 first team appearances for West Ham. But I do really, really like Declan Rice. You know, he's only young. He's 20 years of age. You know, he's one of England's hottest prospects as well. You know, I think he's mainly a defensive midfielder, but I think he can operate as a centre back, but I think he's primarily a defensive midfielder, and I'd identify him, you know, as a good replacement for Nemanja Matic, you know, Declan Rice, because for me, Nemanja Matic, of course, isn't reliable enough. You know, he has proven himself in a couple of games as Nemanja Matic, but for me, he's too slow. I've got strong reservations about him, and I know he's well Premier League proven, and Manchester United paid £40 million for him, but at the time we got him, obviously he wasn't our first choice signing, because we had other targets in mind, but obviously we ended up, at the time we got Matic, you know, we ended up getting his third choice target. So really, you know, Matic has done well in a couple of his games, but as I said, you know, he's too slow. I've got reservations about Nemanja Matic. So for me, we need a centre defensive midfield, you know, that's fast and tenacious. And I think Declan Rice, you know, would be the right candidate. You know, he can break up the play. He's an energetic midfielder. You know, he's proven himself fantastically well West Ham. And this season under Manuel Pellegrini, I know it's Manuel Pellegrini's first season West Ham. You know, Declan Rice has really, really proven himself. And I think, you know, he could be available for around, £50 million this summer. It did say, I think, that West Ham want around £50 million for Declan Rice this summer. But yeah, there's been a lot of talks about that going on. People are saying maybe we should be sensible with our recruitment this summer, because we are all aware that there's quite a few players out there for a reasonable figure. But I think, definitely, Declan Rice, would be one of my signings. I think he'd blend in very, very well in our midfield. So he'd be one of my signings. So that's another one. Who would my other signing, be? Let me have a think, because we're linked with a number of players. Idrissa Gueye, I'm not too sure about Idrissa Gueye, if he'd be actually one of my signings. I know that Manchester United have been linked with Idrissa Gueye again. He's a defensive midfielder, he's 29 years of age as Idrissa Gueye, and I think we'd actually see him as a good replacement for Ander Herrera. And as I said, Idrissa Gueye is 29, Ander Herrera is 29. They are the same age, combining them together. You can say Ander Herrera, of course, has had a better the career. But I like Idrissa Gueye, what I've seen of him. The majority of his appearances, of course, that have come in the Premier League, have obviously, become at Everton, because I think before Everton he only spent like one season with Aston Villa. But Idrissa Gueye, he can intercept the ball, he's an energetic midfielder. He's Idrissa Gueye, he has proven he's good at pressing opponents, he breaks up the play also very, very well. And of course, he knows the Premier League inside out, because he has been in the Premier League a number of years as Idrissa Gueye. I think Everton triggered his release clause around 7.1 million when they actually got him from Aston Villa. I think he initially signed a 4-year deal, but I think based on his fantastic performances, he got his contract renewed in February of last year, and he's under contract with Everton now until 2022 as Idrissa Gueye. And again, he could be available for a reasonable figure in the summer. Obviously, PSG inquired about getting him in January. I think PSG had about two bids turned down for him in January, because Everton, I think, were demanding that they wanted around £40 million for the Idrissa Gueye back in January. So obviously, PSG didn't complete it. But yeah, Manchester United have showed an interest in Idrissa Gueye. And so I'm not too sure if he'd be one of my signings, to be quite honest, because obviously there's better than him out there. I definitely another one of my signings would be also to Napoli's Koulibaly. He'd be definitely one of my signings, because obviously we need someone to come in to address our defensive deficiencies, and Koulibaly would be the right player. But again, player of his calibre wants to be in Champions League football. I do know that Manchester United of course have been long admirers of Koulibaly. I do really, really like him. He's nearly 28 years of age. He's highly experienced, and he's been at Napoli now a number of years. I think this is now his 5th season with Napoli's. His Koulibaly's. I think he's made over 200 odd appearances in all competitions. But to be quite honest with you, it's not impossible. We could still possibly get him, but I don't really think we'll get him now. I think he insists he's happy at Napoli anywhere, and obviously we're not in a Champions League football. And either way, he's going to cost Manchester United around at least 100 million or 110 million. So Manchester United ultimately have got to pay a world record fee for Koulibaly. But yeah, we need someone that can go alongside Victor Lindelof in our back line. Someone that can blend alongside him, because I've been very, very impressed with Victor Lindelof this season. His performances have been very, very impressive indeed. For Manchester United, he struggled in his first season. Didn't really settle in his first season. But this season, Lindelof has settled in, and he's full his position fantastically well. But we've got to get a central defender that can go alongside Victor Lindelof. And Koulibaly would be the right player. He's nearly 28, as I said. I think he's tall as well. He shows that ability to play out from the back. He reads his game very, very well and holds his defensive line fantastically well. It would be good for him to come and experience the Premier League, because ultimately if he came, he'd be still coming to one of the biggest clubs in the world, even though we've been poor for the last 5-6 years. We are still one of the biggest clubs in the world, because obviously historically, look what we've won. We've won 13 Premier League. Obviously we've won 20 titles all in all. So we have, we have had some fantastic achievements. Obviously, this came under the Alex Ferguson era. But as I did say, Champions League football, comes against you. When you want to get the players to the highest level, and obviously we're not going to be in it for next season. But there's still a possible chance we can get Koulibaly. I won't fully discard it. There's still a chance we could get him. But yeah, we're going to have to pay him around 110 million. But Manchester United inquired about getting him in January. But obviously, we had 3 bids turned down for him in January. Obviously, we were linked to him last summer. But the rumours, do continue to persist about it. So yeah, he'd be one of my signings, with Koulibaly. Toby Alderweireld, well, I'm not too sure about Toby Alderweireld. For me, I think he'd be a good upgrade in our defence, to be quite sure, but I wasn't sure if he'd be actually, one of my signings. He's definitely not one of my priorities, without a shadow of a doubt. And, looking at Toby Alderweireld, he's well Premier League proven. I think he'd be probably a good leader in our back line, but I've got reservations about him now. He's lost that yard of pace. He is age 30 as well, so he is aging up. He's Alderweireld, he has been in the Premier League a number of years, and I do know he's available for a reasonable figure this summer, and he is a much cheaper alternative than Koulibaly and the Koulibalys and the Rafael Varans and the Diego Gordons and the Sergio Ramoses, but still, and I know he's a much cheaper alternative than Toby Alderweireld, but obviously he's not in the same kind of level as them type of players as Alderweireld. But looking at it, he's a much cheaper alternative. He's available for 25 million this summer, because obviously I think he wants to leave Tottenham, because obviously he's refused to sign a new contract with Tottenham as Alderweireld. This is why I think Tottenham activated a 12-month extension and included this 25 million release clause. But yeah, there has been a lot of talks about him, and of course Manchester United were linked with him last summer. So yeah, there has been a lot of talks about Alderweireld. That right back position, well, obviously, we need to, address that right back position, and I'd like Aaron Wan-Bissaka to come in. Obviously, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, of course, has been one of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's prime targets, and I really, really like Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but I don't see us having any chance of getting him this summer, because obviously, Aaron Wan-Bissaka has fully committed his future. He's committed his future to Crystal Palace, and he basically said he's going to remain at Crystal Palace at least for one more season. Is Aaron Wan-Bissaka, but I think he's got his defensive capabilities are very, very good. He's been very, very good under Roy Hodgson. I think he's been in the senior squad about 15, 16 months with Palace. But I think he's going to make like 40 senior appearances for Crystal Palace as Aaron Wan-Bissaka. But I think he's initially valued at around 35, 40 million pounds as Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So I'd actually like him to come in as well, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I really, really like Thomas Meunier as well. I really, really like Thomas Meunier. Obviously, the names I'm giving you, obviously, we can't sign all of these players we're linked with, but I said Solskjaer wants to bring at least 5 new additions in. But I really, really like Thomas Meunier. I've seen his style of play. His style of play is very, very good. Thomas Meunier's. He's predominantly a right back. He's highly experienced. He can play in other positions as well, so he's versatile. But I think he's predominantly a right back. He's 27. He's also tall as well, which is very, very beneficial. But yeah, I think he'd be the right sort of player for Manchester United. We're going to get at least a couple of years out of him, and obviously, I think PSG did demand that they want around 26 million pounds for him this summer. This came out a couple of weeks ago in the media, and he did say Arsenal and Chelsea had also entered the race for Thomas Meunier. But I do really, really like Meunier. I think he's got about 13, 14 months left on his contract with PSG. But yeah, he hasn't signed a new contract with Paris Saint-Germain, obviously. So he could possibly, leave this summer. But again, available for a reasonable figure. But as I did currently say, yeah, so, I've named a couple of, targets, who I would potentially sign. Some of them obviously aren't my priority targets, but, some of them I've said to, would be a couple of some of the players, who I would recommend to Manchester United. But as I did currently say, yeah, so as I did say, the positions where, Solskjaer's identified, where we need to strengthen up. Obviously, we need the right back, we need a central defender, we need a couple of additions in midfield, we definitely need the right winger. I'd love Jadon Sancho to come in, he'd be my number one target. He'd be definitely, one of my signings would Jadon Sancho. I think on the left-hand side, we're pretty okay on that left-hand side, because that's where the majority of our attack is coming from, that left-hand side. Because Luke Shaw, I thought it was okay against Huddersfield, didn't have the best of games, but obviously, he's our first choice left-back, is Luke Shaw. But usually, he shows that ability to part from the back, he makes them overlapping runs on the left-hand side. So I'd say probably on the left-hand side, we're okay. If Lukaku leaves this summer, we're definitely going to need a striker without a shadow of a doubt, because obviously we haven't been ruthless enough in front of goal. We haven't been clinical enough, haven't been creative enough in the final third, and this is why we haven't been scoring enough goals. And obviously The likes of Rashford and Martial, as I did say, they haven't graduated to that level yet. They're not on that level yet, Rashford and Martial, and they're not trustworthy enough, to get us deliver us them goals that we need. So if Lukaku is to leave anyway, obviously, we're going to need a replacement for him. But as I did currently say, for me, for Lukaku, I think Manchester United, I'm going to tell you the players now I think should go. I think, Manchester United, should sanction Lukaku off this summer. I think Lukaku is considering leaving Manchester United this summer, because recent reports came out quite a few weeks back saying that his agent, Lukaku's agent, had revealed that his future is very, very open. Lukaku is attracting interest, from quite a few Italian teams. It said Juventus and Inter Milan are interested in Romelu Lukaku. I think it did say that AC Milan were also interested in him. But I think Lukaku, if he leaves this summer, I think he's intending on making the move to Italy. And I think his preferred destination, would actually, be Juventus. And there's still reports going out about, Juventus's Paulo Dybala, saying that Manchester United have made contact, with Juventus over like 85 million transfer, something like that. But there was a lot of rumours going on about this, before about, Paul Dybala and Lukaku as a potential swap deal. It did mention a players plus cash deal, it did say. But Paulo Dybala, I think he's enjoyed a very, very difficult season this season with Juventus, but he is still... He is still one of the heroics in Italy, without a shadow of a doubt, is Paulo Dybala. But as I did say, about Lukaku, Manchester United, of course, paid £75 million for him, played 75 plus 15 million in add-ons, of course, which had risen it to £90 million. He's still got 3 years left on his contract as Lukaku, and he's on about £250,000 a week, is Romelu Lukaku at Manchester United. So if Man United is sanctioning him off this summer, obviously we're going to look to try and recoup the initial £75 million we paid for him. But Lukaku's 25 years of age, and obviously he's nearly into his prime now, and he's still got a lot of years ahead of him, but he hasn't got the capabilities, of course, to play to the highest level. Don't get me wrong, he's well Premier League proven, is Lukaku. We know, of course, he's scored a lot of goals in the Premier League, but he's enjoyed a difficult second season with Manchester United, and in his first season he did really good. He scored 27 goals in all competitions in his first season, did Lukaku, and obviously he's like a former Everton player. I think he was at Chelsea at one point, he was at West Brom and all that, so he has been at quite a few Premier League teams, as Lukaku, so he's well Premier League proven. But for me, he doesn't really get enough them runs in behind. His finishing asset also lets him down. He can perform better and look a bit more effective, when he's getting that support up front. But for me, he's he's a prolific goal scorer, as he's proven in the Premier League. But for me, he's just not got the capabilities to play to the highest level. His first touch as well, concerns. But when it comes to playing the big teams, he's a big game bottler. He's Romelu Lukaku. So yeah, I think we should cash in for him this summer, and if we can, as I did say, it will help us with our transition. But as I did say, there was a lot of talks, going on about Moussa Dembele, over the weekend, as well as I've give you an update on it. Did say Manchester United, were in talks with Lyon over the summer move, for Moussa Dembele. Moussa Dembele, again, he's only 22 years of age, he's only very, very young, he's Moussa Dembele. It did say that Atletico Madrid and Arsenal were interested. It did say Arsenal have instructed scouts, to keep a close eye out on Moussa Dembele, reflecting on his impressive performances this season. Maybe quite a few Manchester United fans would not like to see, Moussa Dembele, get recommended in, because he has done very, very good this season, for Lyon as Moussa Dembele, don't get me wrong, and it's only his first season with Lyon. He's proven he can score goals, but obviously I think Lyon got him last summer from Celtic for about 19-20 million pounds, and he signed a 5-year contract, so he's on the contract with Lyon until 2023. But obviously, going back to when he was at Celtic, he had a good couple of years with Celtic, did Moussa Dembele, but let's be honest, there's only one team in Scotland mainly, and that's Celtic. So basically the Scottish League is a pub league, so you can't really say much about that in that aspect. I think he actually began his senior career with Fulham, and I think at that point when he was younger, when he began his senior career with Fulham, I think that a lot of Manchester United fans were interested in me. A lot of Manchester United fans were interested in seeing him come in. But I think he spent like 3 years with Fulham. I think he began his senior career with them in 2013. I think he spent 3 years in the senior team with Fulham. But yeah, so there has been a lot of talks about Moussa Dembele. So as I said, he's got a 5-year deal with Lyon, but he's been very, very impressive this season. I think he's rated reportedly at around 40 odd million pounds. So yeah, he was spoken about over the weekend as well. But maybe probably wouldn't be one of my signings. I know he seems a pretty decent striker, but obviously there's better options out there than Moussa Dembele, but he's proven he can score goals, as you've seen that this season, in France for Lyon. So yeah, he has proven that. But yeah, we're linked with a lot of players, as I said, but we do know that players are going to be leaving in the summer. Obviously, Manchester United have not yet, come to an agreement, to get David De Gea a new contract. And obviously, if we can't come to an agreement to get him a new contract soon, obviously, Manchester United will want to cash in for him this summer rather than let him go on a free transfer in the summer of 2020. But Manchester United, I think, we're willing to offer David De Gea around £300,000 a week, reportedly. But we're willing to offer him about £300,000 a week, but I think De Gea is demanding that he wants around £350,000 a week if he is to commit his long-term future in Manchester United. And as I did say, obviously a goalkeeper of David De Gea's calibre, wants to be playing to the highest level, of course, wants to be in Champions League, maybe wants to be in Champions League football and wants to be up there, challenging. This is what, basically, David De Gea may want. And obviously, Manchester United are at least a couple of years off doing that. But as I did say, I think he's being linked with a £90 million move to PSG. As I did say, reports came out the other day saying that PSG were willing to offer him a £450,000 a week contract. That's actually more than double of what he's currently on at the moment in his current deal with Manchester United, because he's on about £200,000 a week at the moment with Manchester United. We do know that Real Madrid, of course, have been long admirers of David De Gea, but as I did say, he's been recently making costly errors. He didn't do too much wrong against Huddersfield. David De Gea actually made some good saves in the Huddersfield game. But David De Gea now has been at Manchester United 8 years now. He's made over 300 appearances in all competitions. He's won the club's player of the year 4 times out of the last 5 years, as well as David De Gea. And as I did say, he's won everything here domestically. But I hope, somewhere along the line, we can come to an agreement, to get him a new contract. Obviously, if De Gea leaves, obviously, we're going to have to find a replacement for David De Gea. And I think he has made he's made 100 Premier League clean sheets, as well as David De Gea. But yeah, his future is still uncertain. But yeah, I think it would help with our transition, of course, if we are to sell David De Gea off this summer. And so he could be possibly going. As I did say, one player that's definitely going in the summer, of course, and that's Antonio Valencia. Are Manchester United, willing to give him a farewell appearance against Cardiff, because that's obviously the last game of the season. So we're willing to give Valencia a chance, because obviously I think Valencia has now recovered from his calf injury. He has been at Manchester United now 10 years as Antonio Valencia, so he has been a good servant to the club. Valencia has made over 300 appearances in all competitions for Manchester United. I think Manchester United opted against. Obviously, we had, as I did say, we had the option to extend his contract, but Manchester United opted against that decision. So he's going to leave in the summer when his contract expires. And Valencia's initially lost his place in the team. Obviously, he's won everything he domestically, and over the years he has been essential as Valencia. And obviously, reflecting back in 2012, I think he won the Sir Matt Busby Player of the Year award, didn't he? But yeah, he's one player that's definitely we're going to need a replacement for him. I think definitely, the likes of this is the players I think should go. These are the players who I think should go anywhere, but we know obviously, Valencia is leaving. I also think, Marcos Rojo, should go as well. Definitely, I think Marcos Rojo should go, because he's enjoyed a very, very difficult time at Manchester United. He's enjoyed a very, very difficult time at Manchester United as Marcos Rojo, but he has sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player. But I think he's going to go in his summer, and he's just recovered recently from long-term absence. I think the likes of Smalling and Jones as well, should go. I think the likes of Smalling and Jones, should go in the summer, because I think they've been long-serving players here at Manchester United. This is Jones' 8th season, this is Smalling's 9th season, and it was a bad mistake for Manchester United, giving them a new long-term contract extensions. Chris Smalling and Phil Jones, so they need to go in the summer. Eric Bailly, I'm not too sure about Eric Bailly. Maybe for me, he probably needs to go, because obviously he's too injury-prone. Even though I think he's got great potential, Eric Bailly, he's too injury-prone. He's now heading into his 4th season now with Manchester United, and especially if a new centre-back is to come in, I can see Eric Bailly leaving in the summer. But yeah, he hasn't really had the opportunity, to be fair to Eric Bailly this season. Matteo Darmian, I think he also needs to go as well, because he's enjoyed a very, very difficult time at United. Just recently recovered from long-term injury, Matteo Darmian. But yeah, I think he also needs to go. There's Matteo Darmian. I think we have triggered that option, so we can cash in for Darmian this summer if he does, if we can get rid of him. I also think definitely, Alexis Sanchez needs to go. Obviously, I think Man United are willing to pay half of Alexis Sanchez's wages off, to sanction him off this summer. After, of course, it's going to be difficult, for any teams, to pay Sanchez's wages off, because obviously, Sanchez is on around 400 grand a week. Obviously, he's the highest paid player of the club. He's the highest paid player in the Premier League, and when he has played, he's just been very, very inconsistent. When he's played, he just looks so restricted. Just looks as though he hasn't really been getting that freedom, hasn't really settled in. Did get a rare start against Huddersfield, but he just not too long ago recovered from a knee injury, and he has sustained quite a few injuries as a Manchester United player. But yeah, he's no longer playing to the highest level anymore. Sanchez doesn't basically have a future at the club, but we've got to get rid of him in the summer. Juan Mata, well, I like Juan Mata, so I wouldn't really want to see Juan Mata leave, but I do think that Juan Mata is going to leave. I do think he's going to leave in the summer, unless Manchester United can trigger this 1 year extension, because I think Man United are willing to offer Juan Mata a new 1 year extension. Reports came out the other day, as I updated you on, saying that Brighton of Albion are reportedly willing to offer Juan Mata a 2 year contract, to persuade him, of course, to stay in the Premier League, because he has been a great servant in the Premier League as Juan Mata. This is now his 5th season with Manchester United. Obviously, when he was young, he had 2.5, 3 years with Chelsea. Did Juan Mata. Obviously, there were talks the other day in the press saying that Barcelona were in talks to get Juan Mata on a free transfer in the summer, but it reportedly said that Juan Mata would reportedly have to take a pay cut on his £170,000 a week wages if he was to make the move to Barcelona. But yeah, being a good servant in the Premier League, but he's no longer playing to the highest level now. He has lost that yard of pace, and now he's 31 years of age. He's Juan Mata, but he doesn't really get selected anymore, even though he has played in his last 2 games. And I've analysed his performances in them 2 games, and they have been quite impressive. And I think he's performed very, very well in that number 10 role, Juan Mata. But I could still possibly, see him leaving this summer, even though I wouldn't want him to, because I really, really like Juan Mata. I think he's very, very consistent player. I think he scored about 50 odd goals for Manchester United. Paul Pogba, well, I do really, really like Paul Pogba. I really, really like Paul Pogba, but, I want him to stay at Manchester United, from my own preference. But as I did say, to be quite honest with you, everyone will have a different opinion. But in terms of our rebuilding process, if we get rid of Pogba, it will help us in terms of our rebuilding process. It'll help us financially. And, if we get rid of Paul Pogba, this summer, I don't really want to see him go, because he's still one of the best midfielders in the world. I do know Paul Pogba hasn't been, performing to his potential level, in his last 6 or 7 games. He did okay against Huddersfield. He did okay against Chelsea, but prior to them, his performances have been really, really poor, Paul Pogba's. But I think Manchester United, at least, could get around 120, 130 million pounds for him. I think recent reports did say Manchester United are demanding around 160 million pounds over Paul Pogba. Of course, Real Madrid are not willing to pay that. He did initially say that Real Madrid are not willing to, meet Paul Pogba's £290,000 a week wages. So it reportedly said that Paul Pogba would reportedly have to take a pay cut if he wants to make his move to Real Madrid. But potentially Manchester United want around 160 million. Well, how much do you think Paul Pogba's worth? I'd say he's probably worth around probably 140, 150 million pounds. Some United fans will say 170. Some United fans will say 180. But he's still a very, very good player. He's Paul Pogba, and I do really, really like him. But reports came out the other week in the press saying that reports were coming out from Spain saying that Paul Pogba had agreed the personal terms. He'd also agreed the wages, and he said Paul Pogba had agreed a 10 million EA deal with Real Madrid. But reportedly, I think Manchester United, we are saying basically that want at least one of Real Madrid's players in return, if we are willing to do any business for Paul Pogba. But I think it did say Man United, want Rafael Varane and Toni Kroos in exchange for Paul Pogba. I think Real Madrid would go along with this, with the Toni Kroos one, but I don't think Real Madrid are willing, to sanction Rafael Varane off, and that is, the problem. But Paul Pogba, of course, he's still got over 2 years left on his deal with Manchester United. Well, I think it's 3-year deal he's got left, because obviously, Man United have got an option of a further year. The reports coming out a while back saying that Manchester United, were willing to offer Paul Pogba the captain's armband on a permanent basis, to convince him to stay at the club. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, basically, still insists that, Paul Pogba will be at Manchester United, next season, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has built a great relationship up with Paul Pogba. he's built a great relationship up here with Paul Pogba, as I said. But obviously, for a number of weeks now, obviously, Paul Pogba's agent, Raiola, of course, has been in the process of finding him a new club. Because obviously, I think his former club, Juventus, held negotiations, with his agent, Raiola. Obviously, Raiola, quite a few weeks back, was, was in Spain. He was in Madrid. He had a couple of negotiations there with Real Madrid. Did his agent, Raiola, over the summer move for Pogba. I think he also came to Manchester as well, to negotiate a summer move for Paul Pogba. Did his agent, Raiola. And of course, last year he was heavily linked with a move to his former club, Juventus. He was also linked with a move to Barcelona, because obviously, he was heavily linked with a move away from Manchester United last year, because obviously, Paul Pogba had a bad relationship with Jose Mourinho. But I wouldn't really want to see him go, Paul Pogba, because he's still in his prime. He's still got a lot of years ahead of him. But I think he's going to be going to Real Madrid in the summer. So obviously, we're going to need a replacement for him. I think Bruno Fernandes, would be the right solution. So as I did say, the players I want out, I know Valencia's going anywhere. I definitely want Ashley Young out. I want Smalling out. I want Phil Jones out. I want Rojo out. I want Darmian out. These are the players I want to leave. I want Sanchez out. Matt, I want him to stay, but I don't think he's gonna. Pogba, I want him to stay, but I don't think he's gonna. Matic for me, I don't want him here next season. Getting too old. I've got strong reservations about him. He's too slow. Narrows that midfield down. Lukaku, yeah, I'd probably say I want him to go as well. So these are the players I do want to leave Manchester United, and I've already told you the players who I would like to come in. But yeah, so anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider subscribing to my channel, as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon, guys. Thanks for watching.